Maybe you can talk about bipolar.
Okay. Okay. Hello and welcome to Psych Talks 2.0, Season 2, the show where we believe in listening, learning, and empowering. I'm your host today, Dr. Arshia here. In today's episode, we are talking about mood disorders with our special guest. She's a very talented psychologist practicing in India, and we warmly welcome her. Uh, First of all, warm welcome to Dr. Sumathi. She is a
Hello,
psychologist.
Ashima.
She's a psychologist, she's an author, she's having a vast experience of 22 plus years, reaching so many people and supporting them in their emotional and social well being. And with this, and having this in mind, today is a World Bipolar Day, and I wish we benefit from the experience of our beloved guest here. So, first of all, a warm welcome to you, ma'am, once again. Thank you so much for
Thank
accepting the invite and having bipolar disorder as a theme today. Can you please explain me what is the difference between low mood and a depression? Because people often confuse this in our
Yeah.
setting.
Okay. See, when you say mood, first of all, you have to know that it is a kind of a feeling. Do you want to continue English or is English? Is it okay? You want in full English?
Yeah, full English is
Okay.
preferred.
Yeah. So the mood is something which we say that when a person feels sad, everyone is normal, quite normal as a human being. We have to, we naturally undergo it's a process. But when it stays for more than time, it is consistently it's going on beyond. Then it becomes a mood. That's why you're asking. The low mood is something where your person is feeling low energy and a kind of a low frequency of thought is also negative and all that stuff. So it is an emotional state actually, but depression is actually different. It is a state of functionality. So what do you mean by that? Is a person who chooses to function in a way on a day-to-day basis, feeling that okay, have a hopeless and a kind of a helpless belief system that is ingrained in their nervous system. So that is the kind of functionality that they start functioning on day to day. Whereas low mood is something it's temporary and it's a kind of emotional state only. So you can immediately come out by seeking pleasure, by doing something which you enjoy, doing something which you love to do, like that. So that's a difference, a lot of difference there.
So, what are the effects of depression on our body?
See, depression, to say frankly, I have experienced depression twice in my life. So I know very well how, it makes you feel very hopeless and despair and helpless and a kind of a self, hatred. We don't love ourselves at all. We don't just love. There's a lot of indifference. So this is not just about lack of self-love, which is more about feeling lonely in spite of people around you. So depression is a state where when I feel what is according to me when from my experiences when I because I've dealt more with clients who walk in with depression and so what I found is it is more about feeling guilt. The guilt is predominant here. The guilt feeling of something like I'm a bad person, I'm a bad daughter, I'm a bad son, like that. So somewhere they've done something wrong. So there's a lot of a morality principle that is operating too much. They have this condition, I should be like this, I should be like that. And if they fall short of it, then there is a gap. Therefore, they beat themselves and tell, okay, I'm not a good daughter or something, whatever. That is very important. One of the symptoms that a person can identify. And low energy, of course. So these are symptoms I'm going to tell you, which is more predominant, consistent for more than 2 weeks, at least 2 weeks. So 3 weeks, you have to see whether it is, continuing where you have a low energy and you also feel that guilt and lack of interest. It's called anhedonia, we call it as, where usually you have interest, like example, watching TV or maybe listening to music. Now you're not able to do that. Somewhere you have lost interest even in what you really enjoyed. So you're not able to enjoy, in the sense you're not able to use your body. That itself shows very clearly there is a mind body disconnect. So what I found is people who are like, apart from these symptoms which I told you right now, they have difficulty concentrating also. They cannot concentrate in one work. They cannot take decisions on their own also. They get so confused. And more importantly, there are difference in two things. One is a sleep pattern, and very importantly, in the eating pattern also. So there is a kind of emotional eating or maybe withdrawal, and they socially withdraw also. This is very mostly common. And most what happens is they the suicidal thoughts is which is one of the major symptom. We call it as suicide ideation. I'm not going to go technically because I want people to hear to understand layman term. So I'm going to talk more in a very what exactly they could identify, so that if anyone who's watching this would know exactly these are symptoms that they observe in someone. It is very important to talk with them and connect with them. So the suicide thought, when it comes as a thought, just crosses your mind, and you don't take any action. Then it's called ideation, where people. But sometimes you have an impulse, like you want to take, where the body also starts into. So that is where you attempt suicide. People and then goes the extreme where they take suicide. So this all happens, a kind of a process, depending upon the kind of the family, the environment. All that plays a very important role, not just about their functionality. It is also the environment plays a very important role, and their life events, like what kind of job they are doing, what kind of money they're attracting, what kind of family or relationship they're having, and all that stuff plays very important role.
So people say mood swings, they experience mood swings. So is it true? Like mood swings are real?
Yes, definitely. See, mood swings, I think normally, suddenly, even I think anyone can get that. The only difference, what I say is, you're aware of it. Are you aware that I am okay? I'm not feeling so good inside, and somewhere, am I not functioning properly to my optimum? Am I not feeling good? Like somewhere you will be able to see that inner guidance that is within you, where it's so easy for you. But for example, if no awareness, then it becomes very rapid and intense, also very intense. That mood is, suddenly it comes. There are people, there are different types of mood also. Like there are people who are, they call it as short tempered, where easy things they get very angry, get irritated, and that becomes their basic functionality also. Like, this is what I am. But the truth is not that actually. So it is something which has been imprinted in their brain as a nervous system coping strategy, and how the nervous system is functioning on day-to-day life when some challenge comes up. But they don't know that actually. So what happens is, when the mood swings come, they start believing and identifying with it, telling that, yeah, I'm like this. And that is when it becomes a problem. So then it sustains there for what to say, maybe more than 1 or 2 months. Sometimes people will get dragged into it, depending upon, as I told you, the environment. Suppose there are people who are like, they have friends, they have colleagues, the parents, of course, who are not reacting, and definitely I think that will make a difference. Or else they will get carried with the mood swings, and they lose their own personality, their functionality, and everything, and they go into autopilot mode. When I say autopilot mode, it means that there is a pattern in your brain, or repeated pattern, like there are certain memories that have been into your subconscious in your body level, and those patterns will start running your life rather than what exactly we want to be. Because I want to be successful, I want to be do complete this, I want to attend a job interview, I want to have a job. This all is in the conscious mind. But if these mood swings come, they will impact the daily function and not allow who you want to be.
So going into bipolar, people actually they don't know how kind of support they need. So what is the role of family support in managing bipolar disorder?
See, I would say actually, when from my experience, what I've observed is, when a client walks in with any kind of this bipolar or even depression or anxiety or any kind of major, that do not something which you can handle by themselves, something major, where there is symptoms which is coming regularly, and that too periodically and episodically also it comes, like every a duration, like after 6 months once, or maybe a yearly thrice, like that. So this is where the family comes in, very important, I would say. They actually serve as a cushion, or I would say they are more therapeutic, I would say, compared to their medicine or the any kind of intervention. Family is more therapeutic, because I have seen many cases when they walk in, whoever had a very supportive parents, they are there, they heal quickly. They come out with just 6 or 8 sessions, I've seen. So there's no relapse, also there's no relapse. So what I found is, I usually give them a family therapy, at least 1 or 2 therapy sessions, family. The reason is, there are a lot of unfinished business, and a lot of what to say, incomplete facets that is in the family, not only within the members, even generations, I would say. So sometimes, there are, we call it as generational trauma. So these trauma is nothing, is an incomplete emotional response that is stuck in the nervous system, which the person is trying to process it, and they want a person, maybe the mother or the sibling or anyone, where a validation, like it's not about allowing them to be them who they are, giving them freedom. No, it's about feeling valued and heard. So that is when the family comes in, where they're non-judgmental, instead of looking into their need. Like many parents, they get offended. Oh my God, my son is like this, my daughter is like this. How will they get married? They go into their own role of their kind of anguish and despair. This is not about them actually, because that boy or a girl, it is their life, and they are suffering. And so that is where the family therapy comes very useful, where I help them to pivot slowly, the whole family, to have a common goal. Like, for example, setting in a family therapy, what is your family goal? Like, example, maybe we want to go for a trip, to Kashmir, all of us, the next December. So what happens then? We ask them, each of them. So how do you going to contribute? What is that you need to do so that you all be more happier and more healthier? That is how they come up. So here we are breaking that kind of the boundary. If it is too much of cramp, suppose there are families who are very close, very inbuilt, where it causes a lot of problem also, where they don't have the secure feeling also. When it's a very enclosed, we call it as a very enmeshed family, which is not healthy at all. Very enmeshed family, they lose the boundary. So they don't know who they are, the identity is not there. They land up into bipolar disorder, where they have been given too much of responsibility at the earliest stage, or they take up the responsibility at the earliest stage. They're not given guidelines, because the first 6 years is very important. But sometimes the parenting could be too much of indulgent parenting, where studies have proven, or extreme what is it called, autocratic. Autocratic is being extremely strict, with the child. So these two extreme parenting is what we find here. So here I think, as a psychologist, I would say that definitely, as you told, family is a very major role. So that's why I always give family therapy for any of my client who walks in with severe kind of disorder.
So, talking about family as a unit, what would
Hmm.
you suggest in case of parenting if a child or an adolescent comes up with this kind of disorder?
So you mean to say, what kind of suggestions I would give for the parents, okay?
Yeah,
Or
parenting done to an adolescent with
hmm.
bipolar
Okay.
or mood disorder.
Okay. So see here, as I told you, the parents' responsibility. Parents have a very confused state. They feel like I failed as a parent, mother, I have failed as a daughter, the father, or am I done right, or am I good father? All that will be the misconception. So I think that is very important here for them to demystify it. Like, so I have to work on the belief system of the parent, because that plays a major role. I don't know how many of you know this, that your children are extension of you, and they are reflection of your suppressed emotions part. So whatever, as a mother, as a father, when they have suppressed certain emotions or certain beliefs that they are very uncomfortable, and those are reflected in the child. I'll give an example. I remember one client. She came with a severe anxiety disorder. Okay, this girl. And she did not come out of the house at all. She was like confined to the cot, and she doesn't go to open the door also. And the mother was very scared, like, oh my God, daughter's like this. She's an adolescent, right? When they came to me, I had the first session with the daughter, and then I realized that this girl temporarily was undergoing this. So after 2 sessions, I called upon the mother. So when I checked with the mother, she told, yeah, I'm fine. I'm so great. I'm doing very great, she was saying. But I realized that there is an extinction of this anxiety with the mother, because I was working with the daughter also. So one session I had exclusive with the mother. And when I worked with the anxiety of the mother, when I went into the mother, she had anxiety at her school days, where she wanted to become the best version of, at the school, and she was not able to do that. And there was a part of her very anxious of what something bad will happen, what if something goes wrong, what if, I'm not being, people will ridicule me, people know about me, like that. So I did a therapy of rewiring her brain for the mother. You won't believe me. After the fourth session, I mean, the mother was the fourth session or something. The moment I worked with the mother, next week onwards, they didn't turn up, and I called, they called me and told her, ma'am, now my daughter is very nice, she's good. So what I'm saying is, the parents, when they start addressing their own incomplete or unprocessed emotion, which they see, which they notice in the child right now. Suppose you see a grieving child. Suppose in front of you, you see an adult who is grieving, like, who is very sad and who is very stuck, or who is very angry or whatever. Just ask yourself, what is the in me that is creating this outside. So this question puts you into you where you had not handled it earlier. See, I'm not blaming the parents here. No, no, no. See, the thing is, parents are really very wonderful in the sense they are being the tool. They are the one who's a channel, like where they brought the soul into the world. But still, after the age of when they become an adult, somewhere only till the age of 6 or 7, they can give unconditional love. And the child deserves to feel that unconditional love. But afterwards, you cannot give unconditional love. The reason is they are becoming adults and they have to take responsibility. So it is, as a parent, it is important for us to draw boundaries. So there, the unconditional doesn't work here. So there is a conditional love only, but with awareness and lot of kindness, So, but parents get confused. So they feel that, maybe I am being harsh, I am being very strict, maybe because of me only my child. No, 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 no. As I told, the formative years is important. The child has developed that kind of a limiting belief, or those emotions that are stuck in the nervous system has been now not processed, it is incomplete. And now the time has come for the child to take the responsibility and reparent by itself. So now they have to, when they have this mood with this, either a hypo, going to mania or a hypo, whatever, they have to understand that this is something happening within me. So the parents are not to be blamed right now. No. The parents are right now supporting them only. But ultimately, it is the person who's undergoing this problem. They have to take ownership. So for that, the parents have to be educated, as you told right now, how to how to be supportive at the same time, how to draw boundaries, and also the medication. If you see that it is important when the severe bipolar, they have to take a minimal medication. Okay, because there's a brain chemistry. There's a chemical release in the brain whenever there's a thought process. So generally, when these people have a kind of negative thought process going on, negative emotions, there is a chemical change in the brain. In that way, medicines work there. But more than that, your neurosystem, that is a nervous system, which works, that is it regulated? Is it very strong? That is, I'm talking about the vagus nerve, the nerve which is controlling the body, the nerve which is the largest 10th cranial nerve, which is called as the calm switch, we call it as. The reason is, when it is active, it is able to sense the feelings in your body and send a message that, oh, you're so sad, so then the person, that is a conscious mind, that is me, I will take charge of it. But whereas if you are going to, very simple, if the next time when your having this emotion coming up, the hyper or hypo, whatever it is, a low mood or a very high, at that moment, what happens is vagus nerve, which is the bridge, it cuts off. So there is a disconnect, mind and body. The reason is that's how the brain protects itself. It has been the mechanism is like that. So slowly, what happens? The mood disorder people, they slowly get disconnected by the mind and body. Now you see that there is that the vagus nerve is not there to convey to you, telling that in the body there is a suppressed, there is an emotion, there is unprocessed, or a part of some fear is there. It is there is no one to convey. No, so that is the reason where they slowly get separated, and they start living in the mind, not in the body. So the bipolar becomes a pattern in the brain. It's like a pattern, we call it as, which is again wired again and again, and then they are giving into the pattern, and that starts happening as a pattern depending upon the environment also. If you don't change the environment, if it is going to be the same, it will continue. So mark my words. If you could, the best way, the starting point, you can change the first environment. Either second is change the person's job. Suppose a person is going for a job, the person is doing something. Let them choose something differently, because that is the easy way to rewire the brain. Many people don't know this actually. That is what I recommend them actually. The other one is, I think, this family support, as you told, that gives a kind of a cushion of safety. See, the client, they are not feeling safe enough. They're not grounded. As I told you, the mind and body is separated. They're not grounded at all. So they have to practice certain vagal tone exercise to ground themselves. So every day they start practicing. So the family also can involve. So the family can tell, come on, let's do together. Just 5 minutes only. So like morning exercise, and inculcating habits. So how does it do family? So if suppose the father and mother tells, come on, let's go to walk, let's go to jogging, let's go to a gym. So that's how the child also start reforming himself or herself. This is how the family support, and what you say. More than this, I would say, the when I say that the family is involving, the relapse is very less. In fact, I would say, I don't know, I'm a self-made woman. Like even when I underwent depression, I was able to look back in my life today, and at the age of 30, when I got depression, um, um, I was able to come out only by choosing my purpose. So I think when I say purpose, it's a very big word, but the truth is there are three types of purpose. One is maybe your soul purpose, which you don't know right now. It could be a role purpose also. When I say role purpose is what role are you playing? Like maybe you're playing a role of a son or a role of a daughter or whatever. You could always tell yourself, okay, what justification can I do for this role? As a son, as a daughter, how best can I do? How can I make my parents proud, or how can I function so well so that they may be at peace or something? Not satisfying them, no, just the role purpose, to be the very what to say, a very cooperative daughter or son, or a very successful, whatever they want to. See, as a daughter role or whatever, it is important that you play that role at the fullest, and that only gives satisfaction, right? Not for anyone else, just for us. So that is how I think family plays an important role.
Exactly. So, ma'am, what do you think about the common entity which people believe is women went out their feelings by crying, but still, it's like a common entity that women undergo depression. So, what is the link between this?
You mean to say, to come again? I couldn't get the point. What you're saying? Come again?
Women actually went
Yeah.
out their feelings through crying,
Okay.
and despite this, women are more prone to depression. So, what
Okay.
is the reason for that?
So you mean to say that women cry a lot, but still they are leading to depression? Very
Yeah,
true. Because I know, as I told you, even I have been crying many days, and every day I will tell myself, Sumati, you should not cry. Come on, we'll stop crying, and then again land up crying again. So I stopped doing that, controlling myself, and every day I just think, okay, why should I cry? They see the mistake they are doing then. But still, it is a kind of, after crying, you see a light, like kind of a lightness, kind of an. Actually, it is only a release of emotion. See, the point here is, I have told you earlier, why people are not functioning the fullest. Why? Because it is not that they are bad or good or right or wrong. No, it is about the emotion pattern that is keep repeating like a loop, which is unfinished. Okay, those which is, for example, those when I did not stand up for myself, I did not express what I want to express at the moment. I hold up my thought process, I hold my emotions, or I did not say no at the time which I have to say no, or I did not say yes to that moment, or I lost my position there, whatever. These moments are imprinted in your brain, and whatever is incomplete, you know what the brain says? Okay, this is something incomplete. Let me keep it. Let me, I want to make it complete. So let me store it. So the whatever your mind forgets, your body will store it. Your body will not forget, because your body is a powerful tool, and body is like 90% of your brain. See, you look like body as if nothing. You think, oh, it's nothing, like, oh, it's just a body. But the truth is, your body is so intelligent, because it is the subconscious mind. It is 90% of your brain. So you just imagine how you can use the body now. So powerful the body is. So you have to use the body itself as a powerful tool. So how to use it is, you have to understand that each time your body is living in the past or in the future. So it is your job, that is a conscious mind, the brain, the mind. It's your job to gently bring back your body to the present. You have to train your body, or it will go to the loop again and again and again. And that is not emotional release. That I mean, the crying is emotional release, but this is what we call it emotional processing. Only when you process it, that loop will break. And when it breaks, the neural pathway is not there anymore. And once the neural pathway is changed, you are not going to go to the past again. It is finished. Like example, give an example, makes sense for the audience. Maybe it is okay to give an example. Like suppose someone cheated me or something, like maybe as a child, and I felt very small. I felt very small, and I was always thinking, oh, I should have talked. I've spoken to the teacher. I was have spoken to that friend that I didn't do this. Only she did it. I remember a client also came this in the same way. So she want to tell that, I didn't do this. She only did, but she didn't open that time. So this unfinished business was there for many years, for maybe more than 15 years when she came to me. And, and that loop was going on in the background to make sense. Each time she recalls it, it'll be like the background going on, going on, going on. And then what happened was, when I made her to talk it out, she was able to vent it out, the sense more consciously, and it's called reparenting, we called it. So when she did that in a very conscious way, by rewiring the brain, where she told herself that, okay, this is not me, and she was able to vent out by telling something what is authentic at that moment, what she need to voice out. And then she broke the loop there. So by crying or feeling guilty will never alone solve the problem, or even awareness will never solve the problem. It is all about what is the story that you're changing behind, what story, what narrative you're changing. Because you're going to say the same thing, like, oh my God, I'm not important, I'm not that good. All these are a loop going on. So once you're aware, you will stop it. What am I saying to myself? So this is how, just aware. Some people are aware. They say, yeah, this comes, but it doesn't leave the body. Only when you address it, and when next time when you respond differently in the present moment, when you respond, when you stand up and you talk, whatever you missed earlier, now you voice out. Now you're able. That is when you realize you have broken the loop. So crying alone is not going to help. Crying is just it's a release. That's it. But the processing can happen only when you are in the present. This awareness, with awareness.
So, ma'am, what would be your last piece of advice for people suffering with a depression?
See, I'll tell you something honestly. Depression is more of living in the past. Okay. and past is no more. And we all know that this problem, but still I'll tell you something differently here right now. Future is something which is not existing anytime. But what is happening is future is existing in the mind, not here, in the mind, not in the physical world. So it is in the mind actually. The timeline is in the mind. In the past or in the future is all timeline which is existing in the mind only. But if you look in the present right now, the only reality is the present moment. And this is the only reality, nothing else. Remaining, everything is a memories. All are memories. So ask yourself, do you want to lose this moment? Because this moment is going to become memory next time, immediately now, right now. So if you are living with people, no, you're not living with people at all. No, you're not living with your mom, you're not living with your dad, you're not living with your sibling, you're not living with anyone. You are living always with your mind. So it is important that you relate yourself and see that your mind is your friend. Make your mind your friend and let the mind work for you and not against you. For that, you need to be in the present, be mindful, enjoy every moment, enjoy. And that is how you create your future.
Exactly, ma'am. I guess with this, we are ending up the session. Thank you so much for your precious time and your insights. I guess this would be very insightful for our viewers. And this is me, Dr. Asha, here signing off from Psych Talks. Until then, thank you and stay tuned.
Thank you. Thank you, Ashia, for the beautiful opportunity. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am.